Hello everybody and welcome to the video. In this video I'll be teaching you how to essentially write into a Delta Lake and how to read data from a Delta Lake using a glue. We are going to use a connector, Delta Lake connector, which is available on the marketplace. So a step-by-step guide for you guys. All right, let's get started. So I have a S3 bucket called Glue Learn Beginners. Inside that I have a folder called data. I have some dummy data here which I will show you, right? So what we want to do here is basically we want to write a job that takes the data into this folder, right? We want to iterate over all the data and then essentially we want to write our Delta Lake, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a folder here on my S3 called Delta Lake. Again, this is empty right now. There's no data. We're going to write the data using glue. So the first step that you want to do is head over to AWS Glue over here and then head over to the job section over here. Once you're on the job section, we need to essentially create a connector. So now click on connectors. This should open up over here. Now click on go to marketplace. So I'm going to click here and then scroll down where you see until you see Apache Delta Lake connector. Delta Lake here, this one right here. So click on that. It will open up on a new tab. Make sure it says $0. Okay. So I'm going to click on continue to subscribe. Click on continue configuration and then I'm going to select Glue 3.0 software. I'm going to click on continue launch and click on usage information. So here it essentially shows you if you want to use Spark, PySpark, how you can do it, and if you're using Glue connector, how to do it. I'm going to use the Glue connector, so it clearly says that it takes a path. So now we need to click over here which says activate Glue connector. And then here type your connector name. You can type anything that I want. Once you're done, click on the save button. I have already done that and hence I won't be doing that process. So over here you can see I already have a Delta Lake connector. Again, as I said, I followed a similar process. Now let's write our first job to write into a Delta Lake. So to write into a Delta Lake, it's actually very easy, right? I'm gonna essentially create a job. So observe that it did create this, right? So now again, I'm going to delete everything and I'm going to use the wizard to do the job, right? So I want to read the data from S3, right? Again, as I said, I have a folder called data where I want to read the data. So here, right, I'll click here on copy S3 URI and then I'm going to switch my camera here because hopefully you guys can see. Okay. Now over here, I'm going to put the S3 path over here, right? So this is, I'm going to read from S3. I'm going to apply a transformation, right? And then I'm in the target, I'm going to select Delta. Here you can see there is an option called Delta Lake connector. I'm going to select that from the drop down, select the Delta connector. And then here we're going to click on add option. Then we're going to add a path where you want to store the data on S3, right? So I'm going to head over to my S3 again, right? And then I'll select a folder called Delta Lake. Inside this where I want to build my Delta Lake. So copy S3 URI, dump the S3 URI, go to script section, automatically it's generated. And then here we're going to write this as write job. Okay, that's great. Over here, select the IAM role. I'm going to select that. I don't need 10 workers. I need 3. 3 is more than enough for me. And then I'm going to click on save button. At this point, my job is created and I'm going to run the job here. As you can see here, my job is running. This might take about a second or two to again complete. And then essentially we're going to query this data using Athena. And then I'll show you how to read the data using a glue connector as well. So now that's done, right? So now let's query the data using Athena. For that, I'm going to head over to AWS Glue section. So I'm going to click here and then I'm going to make a database, a very simple one, a hello world, right? As I said, so I'm going to say sample DB, click on create, and I'm going to head over to the crawler section. I already have some crawlers, but I'm going to show you the step, how to do that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to click on create crawler. Once I am done, I'm going to name sample, whatever you want to call it, click on next. Right, and then here click on add data source. Over here from the drop down, select Delta Lake, and then here we need to provide the path where our Delta Lake is. In this case, it's gonna be this folder in the folder called Delta Lake. Remember we made that, right? My glue job is still running. I think the job is complete as well. As you can see, I'm gonna refresh. It's still running, but here I can see all the files that has been created by my glue job. Again, let it run. So I'm gonna copy this S3 path. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the crawler. and I'm gonna paste it over here, right? Make sure to click on this option that it says enable write manifest. This is very important, okay? Click on next. Again, you can select an IAM role. I'm gonna select the default IAM role. After that, I'm gonna select the database called SampleDB. That's the target database. Click on next, click on create crawler. And then what I'm gonna do is basically I'm gonna run my crawler over here. What the crawler does is essentially it will go to the S3 and try to identify the schema, and then basically I would be able to query my data using Athena. Then I'm going to show you how to read the data from the Delta Lake using Glue connector as well. So let's wait. At this point, my job is running. Okay, so I'm going to wait for the job to complete. At this point, let's see the glue job. The glue job is successful, and if you go to the S3 over here you can see these are all my Delta Lake. These are all Parquet files. Here is the metadata, the Delta log file, right? So again, this is all made by that glue job. Okay. At the same time, my crawler is also running. As you can see, one table has been created. Now I should be able to go to Athena and query my data easily. So now I can go to Athena and I can select my sample DB, and I should be able to say preview table, and I should see my data over here shortly. As you can see, works great. How to read data from Delta Lake? Very, very easy. Again, I'm gonna click on the job section, click on create, and I will remove all these stuff because I don't need it, right? So I'll remove everything. I'll click on source. Now source will be a Delta. So I'm gonna put the source as Delta, choose the connector. And then here in the option, you will provide the path from where you want to read the data. My Delta Lake is in the folder called Delta Lakes, as I showed you here, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy the S3 path. Again, this is inside the folder, right? I'm copying the S3 path. And I'm going to paste the S3 path over here in the glue section here, okay? Now that's it. I am going to convert. If you go to the script section, there will be a script here, which is made by Glue. So what I will do is basically, I will simply, convert this into a Spark data frame and just do I'll just do a show here, right? So now again over here I will call this df. Again, it's easy for me to do that, and I'm gonna do a print statement here. Okay. Gonna do df dot, and I'm gonna convert this into a Spark data frame, as you can see, by using the word to_df, and then I'm gonna do a show here, which will basically show me the data frame object. That is it. Now I'm gonna name this job as Delta Read. Okay, and again the same process. I'll select the IAM role. That's gonna be lab 3. I'll use 3 workers for now. I'll click on save. My job is saved. Now I will run the job. So this will essentially read the data from my source or the Delta Lake, and then essentially I'm converting that into a Spark data frame. I'm essentially showing you. Now once it is in the Spark data frame, you could essentially transform, filter, manipulate the data frame based on how you like. Again, my job is running at this point. I'll show you in the logs. So we saw how to write, we saw how to read using how to query that using Athena, and now basically I'll show you again the reading operation from the Delta Lakes. My Spark job is running. It should be done in a second or two. I'm gonna head over to the output logs. That's where I would be able to see my logs, right? So clicking here. So I'm waiting for the job to complete at this point. We have a small error, and it says an error occurred while calling get source, failed to find the source Apache Spark SQL source Delta source. Please find the package at, okay. So looks like the connector was not put in here, so I will add it here. Yeah, that makes sense. So here we're gonna select the connector as Delta Lake, and this should resolve our errors. Okay, I'm gonna click on save. My job is saved, and I'm gonna rerun my job. So let's wait. Let me make sure my job my retry is 3, so I'll put 0 here. Oh, this is the worker, sorry about that. And here I must do a 0. I don't want to retry for 3 times. So what I have to do now is I have to manually stop the job, and then I'll run the job and show you, okay? So don't worry. So job details looks good. So remember, the reason it failed because we didn't add a connector, and I essentially added that here now, right? So with that one, now it should be fixed, okay? So if I refresh my screen, the job is stopping. We gotta wait for this to stop, and then I'll try to run the job. Again, it's still in the stopping state, and hence it's not allowing me to run the job. So I'm gonna wait. Again, it's very simple, right? You're reading from a Delta Lake now. I'm converting that into a Spark data frame, and then of course I can do whatever manipulation I want to do, right? Pretty straightforward. So I think the job is stopped, right? Now I can run the job. So as you can see, my job is in the running state now. And once the running is complete, I'll show you the logs. Again, we are simply reading from the Delta Lake, and now we are converting that into a Spark data frame and doing .show. So it's gonna show me the data frame. I'll show you that in the logs, right? Once this is complete, shouldn't take much long. You can head over to the output logs. That's where we will see the print statement, right? So let this complete. Might take a minute or two again. And then I'll try to go to the CloudWatch. Again, I clicked on the output logs, which will open a tab over here. And then here I'll see the logs, but I'm gonna wait here, okay? So refresh, it's still in the running state. But again, the concept is easy. It is very, very easy. You can use Glue connector to work with Delta Lakes, right? To read, to write, to do your stuff, right? And then you can perform your manipulation on the Spark data frame. So convert your Glue data frame into a Spark, perform your manipulation, cleaning, cleansing, all that stuff. And then again, you can write it back to the target. Okay, it's still running. Let me see the output. Hopefully I should be seeing that output data frame. So let's try at least. It's still running. I might not see the output, so I'm gonna click on all these 3 log files, and let's see if I can see that my data frame object here. Not in this one. Let's see here. Not in this one, and hopefully it should be there in this one. Yeah, there you go. As you can see, this is a data frame object, right? So now we are essentially able to read from a Delta Lake as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video for beginners, this video will really help beginners how to read from Delta Lakes, how to write from Delta Lakes, how to query Delta Lakes, right? So thank you so much for watching. And if you have any more questions, list your question in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer those questions. Thank you so much. Keep smiling, keep programming, keep learning. See you guys in the upcoming next video.